What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So in this video, I've got 10 very specific fragrances. As you saw from the title, these are what, in my opinion, currently in my collection, are the best smelling 10 cheap Middle Eastern fragrances that I own. I'm not saying they're the best of what's available on the market, but definitely of what I have, these are the 10 that I enjoy the scent profile the absolute most. I want to talk to you about them, so stay tuned. Starting with just the compliment monster beast performer that this is, the ultimate rendition of Invictus in many ways. We're talking about Rasasi Hawas. You know, back in the cheap territory, it's been in the $45 to $55 range, which I'd still call that in the very affordable cheap range. Compared to some of the prices we saw last year, we saw it go as high as $70, $80, which don't pay that, people. But I'll have a link below for everything as best I can find to help you guys out if you're interested in picking any of these up. But picture Invictus with added spices, cinnamon, cardamom type of thing. And it's a little incensey on my skin, even though there's nothing smoky or really resinous or anything like that about the scent profile that I've ever seen. On my skin, it's a little smoky and spicy. It really has that Middle Eastern feel to it with that sweet bubblegum aquatic tone that the original Paco Rabanne Invictus is known for. This stuff is fantastic. You can see the juice level dropping on that bottle. I really enjoy this one. It's a 4 sprayer for me because it's just so immensely powerful. Love this stuff. If you haven't gotten your nose on it yet, you really should, because in my opinion, it's one of the best smelling cheap Middle Eastern fragrances I have. While this is very new to my collection and I haven't spent much time with it yet, there's no denying that this is one of the most magnificent openings I've ever smelled, let alone being a cheap Middle Eastern fragrance. This is Turathi Blue from Afnan, known to be basically a clone of Bulgari's Tiger. I haven't tried that one, and if it's just a higher quality version of this scent profile, then I need to get a bottle, because this stuff is awesome. It's a beautiful, juicy, sharp, watery grapefruit smell, a lot of spices and soft woods. I've heard some people compare it to Bleu de Chanel. I could see where the familiarity comes from with Bleu de Chanel's scent profile, but definitely not one-to-one with it. Honestly, I like this more than Bleu de Chanel EDT, to be honest with you. And this is an eau de parfum, if I remember correctly. It is indeed an eau de parfum. The opening's magnificent. You don't lose that citrus grapefruit smell for a very long time. It hangs out for a long time. And one thing I've come to notice with Afnan is the quality's pretty good, especially for the money that you pay with their fragrances. They've become my favorite of these affordable Middle Eastern houses just because the quality is so good on their scent profiles. We have a few from that house here, and this is the first one we're talking about, the newest one to my collection, that has just wowed me with just how enjoyable and fresh this opening is. Performance above average, not a monster, but definitely not weak. Actually, nothing here is on the weaker side. All are, you know, average to slightly above average on up to ridiculous beasts. And this one, man, one of the best smelling fragrances for sure. Afnan Turathi Blue. With this next one, the magic is out in the air. My wife loves this. This is her favorite of all my cheaper Middle Eastern fragrances. This is her favorite because she loves the scent profile. She loves every version I own of this scent profile, from Zaharoff's Mephisto to my decant of Silver Mountain Water to Meadow Rain by Banana Republic. You name it, she loves the Silver Mountain Water style scent profile, so she loves Armaf's Club de Nuit Sillage. She's a big fan of this one. And look, up close, it definitely smells cheap and synthetic. But out in the air, this beautiful metallic citrus, that slightly herbal tea note from Silver Mountain Water is here, but it's got more of that inky metallic vibe. Bright, fresh, clean, and musky. Just super attractive. Man, I just really enjoy this. I have so many different versions of this scent profile. I even have Alhmabra Silver. Not Haramine. Al Rehab Silver, sorry. I even have that one that I really enjoy. It's just a great scent profile, and Armaf did a great job with this one. I gotta say, if you're smelling it up close on your hand like this, might turn you off a little bit. Boy, if you just bask in the sillage, walk by some people, you'll be surprised the kind of attention this thing pulls. You can find it in the mid $30 price point. Punches well above its price point for what you're going to get as far as reactions, enjoyability of the sillage, wearability. It's super versatile, and it's got enough performance that if you want fresh in the cold, this will do the trick. Definitely one of the best smelling out in the air, though. Hard to beat, especially for the money. Armaf Club de Nuit Sillage. Next is a relatively newer release from Afnan. It's kind of an amalgamation of a bunch of different blue fragrances because I get Bleu de Chanel in the opening, I get some YSL, I get, I've been told there's some Afternoon Swim DNA here without the musk because I've never smelled Afternoon Swim, so I can't confirm that. I get a little bit of Dylan Blue, I get a little bit of everything when it comes to Afnan 9 a.m. Dive. So 9 a.m. Dive, this is one of the better blue fragrances to come out in a long time. I really enjoy this one. This one's going to get a lot of run from me in the spring and summertime. Citruses, ginger, beautiful ginger note, ambery, woody, a little bit of a smoky nuance in the backdrop. There's some dark facets to this. There's a lightly earthy facet to it. I believe there's a little bit of patchouli in here. Performance is on the average to slightly above average side. The freshness really takes a hold here. It's not a monster in performance, but like I get like 5-6 hours on my skin, 5, 6, 7 range so far in my limited experience with this one. But we're talking about scent profile, not really performance here today. And this smells fantastic. Again, I go back to Afnan's choice of quality of oils. While I wouldn't put it in the category of luxury niche, it definitely doesn't smell super cheap and synthetic like some of the Armaf fragrances, for example. Their fragrances smell cheaper to me than the Afnan ones. Not knocking either or, because we just talked about a great smelling Armaf. So this one in particular, if you're a fan of blue, light blue, anything like that, you like citruses, you like fresh spice, any of these types of aromas and accords, you're probably going to like this one. You can get this in the sub $40 price point. It is a darling for blue fragrance fans, which is why I enjoy it so much. Definitely one of the best smelling cheap Middle Eastern fragrances I have. Afnan, 9 a.m. Dive. This next one was an absolute hype beast last year. It was released last year. Lattafa has kind of taken the fragrance community by storm with their affordable clones with a twist. And this is the same thing. It's a clone with a twist. It's Lattafa Khamrah, a take on Angel Share by Killian. And this is definitely much sweeter, less boozy. You don't get as much spice. The quality is not the same. This is definitely a cheaper smell, but out in the air, magnificent, great performer. It still has that cinnamon spicy tone to it, but the benzoin provides a little bit of a boozy and ambery feel to it. A little bit of tonka bean, I believe, is in here as well. Much sweeter, not as boozy, because there's no boozy note. The benzoin kind of provides that feel. I get a little bit of a coconut type of smell on my skin, lightly out in the air when I just sprayed it, but more so on my skin in the opening. It's got almost this kind of crystallized coconut type of smell to it. It's very strange, and strange in a good way. Because like I said, it's not one-to-one with Angel Share. It's definitely got its own twist and take, but you can tell by the bottle design, clearly that's the route they were going here. This is squared versus the round Angel Share bottle, but this is one of the biggest hype beasts from 2022 when it comes to these affordable Middle Eastern fragrances, and for good reason. This stuff is awesome. If you don't like sweet, you're not going to like it. Perfectly unisex. If you think super sweet is feminine leaning, then this is going to be too feminine for you, because it is super sweet. If you like sweet fragrances, it's definitely one of the better cheap options I've put my nose on in a long time. This one deserves all the hype, in my opinion. It's Lattafa Khamrah. One that doesn't get enough love. I did a full review on this one not that long ago. Monster, ridiculous performer. This one's interesting because it gives a little bit of an aquatic, summertime by the beach vibe without the watery nature. It's more like walking through a garden in the high heat with Nafaeis al Shaghaf pour homme from Rasasi. So again, not that many people talk about this one. There's some fruity notes here, and there's a lot of florals. There's rose, there's some white florals, there's yellow florals. I believe Lang & Lang's in here as well. Has kind of a tonka bean powdery sweetness. This is absurdly strong and powerful and can be a little cloying and sweet. Situational in high heat. Though I say it's kind of like walking through a garden en route to the beach during the summer. Visualize that. That's kind of where this scent profile goes. Can be a little much directly out in the heat. I wouldn't wear this to the beach. You know what I mean? But summer evenings, brunch type of thing with, you know, maybe indoor setting or on a patio with some nice shade and umbrellas. I could see this really working in those summer situations. But the rest of the year, you want fresh, fruity, sweet, floral, and powdery. That's all the main accords. and a monster performer, you're going to want to check this one out. A little cheap and synthetic smelling at first, but it settles down into a magnificent dry down that is actually quite unique. I don't have another fragrance in the 1,000 that I have that smells like this one. Underrated, underappreciated, but definitely one of the best smelling cheap Middle Eastern fragrances in my collection. Again, that's Rasasi Shaghaf pour Homme. This next one's one of the most misleading, cool names I've ever seen on a fragrance. This is from Paris Corner in their Killer Oud range. This is called Death by Oud. So when you hear Death by Oud, you would think, oh man, that's an oud bomb. Abso-freaking-lutely not. It is not. It is more about bright and aromatic, spices, smoky leather and tobacco, warm amber. Smells fan-frickin-tastic. I love this fragrance. This was such a good pickup for me last year. Scooped this one up for 55 bucks on Amazon. I haven't seen it for sale in anywhere recently. When I go to set this video up, I'm going to search for somewhere to grab it for you guys. If you're interested, I can't guarantee I'm going to find it somewhere to put a link, but I'm going to go looking for it. Like I said, I'm going to do my best to find links for all these for you guys, but this one, whew, man. Yeah, it's magnificent. If you like spices, smoky and earthy, you're going to like this. The leather's not overdone here. It's a supportive player. The tobacco and leather combination is what I think creates that smoky accord that I get, because it's very smoky on my skin. And the tobacco is definitely on the earthy, dry, earthy side, I guess you could say. No moist, sweet tobacco. This lacks sweetness, so if you're looking for that, you're not going to get that. It is a very masculine, dry, and earthy, spicy fragrance. Absolutely beautiful. I love the way this one smells. Like I said, this was one of my favorite pickups from 2022. Glad to add this to my collection. I haven't tried anything else from the Killer Oud range, and I need to, because this one was that damn good. Definitely one of the best smelling cheap Middle Eastern fragrances I own. Death by Oud. Killer Oud. Next is our final Afnan in this video. This is a lot of people's favorite rendition on the Invictus / Hachivat scent profile. A lot of people will say it's more Hachivat. Some will say it's more Invictus. It's a dead ringer. I think it falls somewhere in between because it's a blackcurrant oak moss bomb. That's the things you're going to get the most from Afnan Supremacy. Not only intense. So, this stuff's ridiculous. What do I mean by that? Quality's there. Really, really strong. Lasts a really long time. And somebody's going to ask, because there's crazy stuff that gets said on the internet. Some crazy shit gets said on the internet. Should I take my cap off and let it sit for a few months? Newer batches have been reformulated. I heard they're weak. If it sounds interesting to you, or you've tried your buddy's bottle, somebody made a decant for you, and you like the fragrance, who cares? Don't go by all that crazy stuff you're going to hear on the internet. This is when I hear all kinds of wild, out of left field, it's this, it's that, it's this, it's that. You know what it is? It's a great performer on my skin. The quality's pretty damn good. It's kind of its own take on twisting those two scent profiles to where it doesn't really completely smell like Hachivat or Invictus. And it's really strong, and it lasts a really long time. That's been my personal experience with it. I can't guarantee that's going to be your experience, but I've heard so much wild crap about this fragrance on the internet from stuff people read. Take these forums and these subreddits and Fragrantica, which is a glorified subreddit, Parfumo, all these different places. This is all people's experiences. Some of them are being honest and truthful with their personal experience, and some are just talking crap and making stuff up. The only way to know for certain how these things are going to work for you is if you try them on your own skin. And I know with some of these fragrances, that's not the easiest thing to do, to just get a sample when it comes to these affordable Middle Eastern fragrances. But do your due diligence and try. Otherwise, you're rolling the dice on a blind buy. Obviously, if you can't sample it, get as many valued opinions as you can, not just random opinions. Seek out opinions that you can value, whether it's me, someone else, whatever. And if that's the only way you're going to be able to judge whether you're spending your money on this fragrance or not, I mean, tread carefully and do your due diligence to research, obviously, but don't always believe everything you hear and read on the internet. That includes me. This is just my personal experience, and you may get this and it may last 4 hours for you because of a skin chemistry issue. It's not that it's been heavily reformulated, because, guys, I've heard so much about this one with the same thing, and I have several different friends. Between the 6 of us, we have 4 different batches, different color juices, and all of them are beasts for us. So Again, it all comes down to personal experience on the internet. I know this ended up being a bit of a rant slash a tangent because this fragrance has been so notorious for that kind of stuff. This is a gorgeous fragrance, one that a lot of people will be proud to add to their collection, that a lot of people that have added it are proud of. So again, if you can't sample, if it's just not feasible and it can't happen for you when it comes to stuff like this, do your due diligence to gather as many valued opinions as you can, and don't just collect a bunch of random opinions from a name, random name, faceless profile somewhere on the internet. You know, I'm rooting for you guys. I don't want you to end up missing out on something great or wasting money on something you may not actually enjoy. It might not be what you were looking for. So it's a fine line we walk when it comes to this hobby. I'm just rooting for you guys to spend your money as wisely as you can and trying to help in the best way possible. And if you want to get your nose on this one, highly doubt you'll be disappointed if you like anything about Invictus and Hachivat, especially if you like oak moss and black currant. Supremacy, not only intense, from Afnan. Next is kind of a darling in that $20 range. If you like honey tobacco, you'll probably like Maison Alhambra's Tabac. This has been very popular for good reason. You can find it anywhere from $18 to $30 online. Supposed to be a clone of Dior's Tobacco Lore. I've never tried the Dior version, but I'm sure it's of higher quality than this, which this isn't super cheap smelling either. It doesn't smell like a $20 fragrance to me. Performance is bananas. It's fruity and honey sweet at the top. Moist tobacco. As it dries, it becomes a little bit drier of a tobacco. The earthiness and ambery tone starts to settle in more. The fruitiness tones down, but you don't lose all of the honey sweetness. So this is definitely a sweet, beautiful, sweet tobacco scent at an affordable price. Very affordable, too. This is some good stuff. This one had to be in the video. And again, I don't know how easy it would be to test this one, but I mean, if you can find it for 18 to 25 bucks, if you think you'll like it, I mean, you're going to have to roll the dice anyway, right? But I think if you like tobacco scents, I think this will be a safe dice roll / blind buy for you. But definitely one of the better smelling cheap Middle Eastern fragrances in my collection, especially a tobacco scent. Maison Alhambra Tabac. Turns out I was wrong. The last one is the last Afnan fragrance. So last but definitely not least, one of my favorite leather fragrances. This fragrance stopped me from getting a 50 ml of ombre leather and ombre leather parfum. It is rare carbon, which is kind of a combination of the two. It kind of falls in between ombre leather and ombre leather parfum. I had a decant of each of them. I was planning on buying a 50 ml of each, which would have been in the realm of $300 from discounters. 35 bucks. I got this instead. Performance is great. It has that metallic ozonic tone from the violet leaf. Still get a hefty dose of some sweet leather, bright, vibrant leather smell from the original with some of the floral tones of the parfum. This is gorgeous. So good. Fans of ombre leather will enjoy this. Fans of ombre leather parfum will enjoy this. The quality is definitely there. It doesn't smell super cheap to me, but it is super cheap. This is not expensive. Performance is great. I did a full review on this one not that long ago. Very happy to have this. This is slowly becoming my favorite leather fragrance because it's one of the more versatile and wearable leathers that I own. So it's so easy to just reach for this one. Definitely a great fragrance. So like I said, if you're looking for what in my opinion is the best affordable take on ombre leather, yes, I know some of you are going to say, what about Ben Sherman's Signature? That's phenomenal for $10. But for $25 more than that, this is a better fragrance. It's definitely one of the best smelling in my collection as far as this category is concerned. And that's Afnan's Rare Carbon. Well, that's the 10 that I have for you today. And until next time, do me a real quick favor. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, because I do appreciate all the feedback. And I love hearing from you guys. What of these 10 have you tried? And what do you think about them? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you fall somewhere in the middle? Very curious on you guys' thoughts. Is some of these on your need to try list? I'd also like to hear which ones interest you that you haven't smelled yet. Definitely let me know down in the comments. And until next time, I will say if you get your hands on any of the 10 I featured in this video and you give them a spray now, pretty confident you'll thank me later. Have a good one, guys.